The Little Domino House. Bunty was playing in the garden when she heard a funny noise. Where's that coming from? She wondered. It sounds as if it's over the wall. I'll go and see. She peeped over the wall and at first could see nothing. And then, goodness me, whatever was that in the grass? Surely it couldn't be an elf. Bunty felt her cheeks grow red with excitement. Suppose it was? She had always looked for fairies and had never seen one. It really and truly did look like one. And what a funny noise it was making, almost as if it was crying with rage. Bunty ran to the gate in the wall and opened it. She went to the little figure in the grass and bent down to look at it closely. Yes, sure enough it was an elf. There wasn't a doubt of that. It had a pair of blue wings and wore a pointed cap and pointed shoes. It was stamping its feet in the grass and crying and shouting angrily. When it saw Bunty, it shook its tiny fist at her and cried,
"Was it you who took my toadstool house away?"
"Goodness, no," said Bunty. "I've only just this minute come here, because I heard the noise you were making. What's the matter?"
"Well,"
said the elf, drying his angry tears on a buttercup petal which he used for a handkerchief,
"I grew myself a fine toadstool house and moved all of my furniture in there. The Fairy Queen asked me to send out all the invitations to her next dance. And so I told the bumblebees, who take my messages for me, to come here this evening and fetch the letters. I went out to buy some notepaper, and when I came back, my house was gone."
"Oh dear, I expect someone came along and picked it," said Bunty, feeling very sorry for the little elf. "What are you going to do now? You've nowhere to write, have you?"
"No, and all my furniture is gone too," said the elf sorrowfully. "If only I could grow another toadstool at once, it would be all right. But I can't. It takes a whole night to grow one."
Bunty thought for a moment, and then she had a wonderful idea. "Do you know, I think I could build you a lovely little house," she said. "I could bring my box of dominoes out here and build a house with them. Then I could give you a little chair and table out of my doll's house, and you could sit down and write all your letters beautifully."
"Oh, you are so good!" cried the elf in delight. "Do you think you could build the house now?"
Bunty ran off to her bedroom. She took her box of dominoes, a little table and chair, and a cup and saucer from her doll's tea set, and ran back to the elf. She sat down and found a nice flat piece of grass. Then she began to build a little domino house. It was rather difficult to build it on the grass, but at last she managed it. It had space left for a window and a nice doorway. "Could you carry the table and chair in yourself?" Bunty asked the elf. "I'm afraid I might knock the house down if I try and put them in myself." The elf carried them in and popped the little cup and saucer on the table. He was simply delighted with his new house.
"This is lovely,"
he said, sitting himself down at the table.
"Now, I've got my fountain pen, and here's the paper and envelopes I bought this morning. It won't take me long to write out the invitations. I shall be able to have them all ready when the bumblebees call for them this evening."
Bunty sat down to watch him at work. He wrote very neatly indeed, and it was lovely to see him sitting at her little doll's house table in the domino house she'd built. All the morning she watched him, and then went in for her lunch. She poured lemonade into a thimble and carried it out to the elf. She poured it into his cup and drank it.
"Ah, that was good," he said. "I was dreadfully thirsty. Thank you so much."
All the afternoon and after tea, Bunty sat and watched the little elf at work, and then suddenly she heard a loud droning noise and saw a big crowd of furry bumblebees flying down. It really was exciting to see them creep into the domino house and go up to the elf's table. He gave them each a letter.
"Take this to Silvertoes," he said to one bee. "Take this to Golden Wings," he said to another. Bunty could have listened all the evening long, but oh, what a pity. Her mother called her to come indoors for supper, and of course she had to go. In the morning she ran to the little house, but it wasn't there. The elf had neatly taken it to pieces and stacked all the dominoes inside the box. He put the table and chair on top of the box beside the cup and saucer, and covered them all with a dock leaf in case it rained. "Well, I suppose that's the last I shall hear of him," sighed Bunty, as she picked up the things. What fun it was! But it wasn't the last she heard, for what do you think? A big bumblebee suddenly flew down and dropped a letter into her lap. Bunty cried out in surprise and opened it. It was an invitation to the Fairy Queen's dance. "Please come on the full moon night to the old oak tree by the pond," said the letter. "There will be dancing and games till cockcrow." Of course Bunty's going, and wouldn't you just love to go with her and see it? No, I would.